Okay, go ahead and start. Okay, so yeah, you came to Azul, and I know one thing that you were hoping for, both with friends, and then that didn't manifest, but being here was to find people to collaborate musically with. Is that something that has
Well, you
happened?
know, it's it's interesting the way it turned out. I'm really glad, as it turned out, that I was here alone.
Ooh.
I'm really glad. Um, I will say, I told you I'm pretty emotional,
Mm.
and so it wasn't necessarily easy the first and second day. I was kind of I just felt the vibes of the place so strongly, and I felt, well, frankly, I felt my age. Got together with Camille. We're both very close in time. Um, we both, certainly her, certainly she, uh, are highly involved with the Second World War. I was born within 1 hour of Franklin Delano Roosevelt going before the U.S. Congress and asking for a declaration of war against the Axis powers. My mother was in labor as Frank FDR was standing before the joint session of Congress asking for a declaration of war. So and then her brothers went. They came back, not hurt, at least not hurt physically.
Mm.
And then kindergarten, we had air raid drills in anticipation of a nuclear attack. And the siren would blow and we'd be told to get under our desks. And I was, like I've been all my life, I'm a very emotional, sensitive kid. I was very much that way. And I was terrified of that whole prospect. And I've carried that with me all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then experience being around Camille and what happened to her, and then our parallel paths. And then I am of the hippie nation. That means something to me. That's not just some sort of catchphrase, passphrase. I'm a devout hippie. I've been a hippie since I heard Bob Dylan and Joan Baez on the Uline Arena stage with Pete Seeger. I have been this the whole journey. And I'm a believer. I believe it's real. I believe it's the best of what we are. And so, the popular media does what the popular media does to everything. It trivializes everything. It trivializes life. The media trivializes our lives. But to me, the Woodstock Nation is real. And I feel...
In a way, it can never be to me or anybody who didn't live in it, probably.
What did you say?
No, I was saying it's real to you in a way. It can never be to me or people who didn't live in it, probably.
I don't know. Well, I guess that's true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As your days cannot be real to me the way they are to you.
Right.
So, of course. So, being here and feeling this and feeling all of that touch me the way it has touched me, and then being, I went up on the hill and I sat down in the sunlight on a rock, and I could almost hear the hammers building the place.
Mm.
I could almost hear the voices. I could relate to while that was happening here, I was what I was where I was. Yep. And so all of that came together like that, really quite overwhelming, frankly. Frankly, quite overwhelming to me. So it turns out that, and then I'm very pleased with the music I made, what I recorded. I think I did a good job of what I set out to do. And I don't know if I'd come with other people or other people had been here, that might have really turned me away from my intention. And now I'm off on a new intention. I intend to do this play.
That's a fantastic play. And do you maybe briefly explain about the play? Like, because you explained kind of how the music and the steps work, but the subject matter, was it about Azul?
All right. I've recorded some of this. Azul Camille, that I may give something of myself here now. The weight of our time makes the sound of my prayers. Azul for Camille, an awakening, eve of my 8th decade. Let there be light, sound, genius, cut flowers in a vase, a little walk down the dirt lane, amazed. It is the gone rushing out of hot springs, winding up the ravines. Azul rushing over me, the years. Because it's done nearly, beginning months apart, an ocean distant, Normandy, toy bomb. Then there's my Chevy Chase, unflattering reflection. But listen, music, because it's done nearly. Melancholia, being of so little consequence in the presence of so much. Though it is the play be done, the player's gone, away from me. Unconsoled be as was, but a play made up as life. Sunset, the covers up over my head, tears on my pillow.
That's
Azul for Camille. And then I sent you the poem.
that's fantastic.
Well, maybe here's some more. Beginning, ending, the view from Azul. We, you and I, look at each other and speak of our days. Shall we make of this a theater? Beginnings on the edge of what is called civilization by some. I have been speaking to the trees. A fragmentation, the edge. Who will there be to come to our play? There was volleyball every Sunday, a potluck after, then music, a jam, the sound of the carpenters hammering Monday morning, building the outpost of the hippie nation. All the while I am searching the shadows. Reed Street, pretending, knowing, losing the mind that I inherited, imagining my escape. Footsteps, measured, an old person approaching reaches. Feel the years, awakening, slipping backward.
Wow. That's wonderful.
And if you can hear that with the music,
Yeah.
footsteps. So that would probably be an epigram, the beginning, someone walking out on the stage, probably holding a horn. Do you know Knee-High Theater?
No.
Knee-High Theater is a theater troupe out of Cornwall, England.
Oh.
And they do music theater. And that has become kind of a touchstone for me of anything that I do theatrically. You might check that out, Knee-High Theater. I've been very involved in theater a long, long time. And it was only within the last 5 years, I guess, that I saw Knee-High Theater. I saw Knee-High Theater do the Red Shoes first, which really knocked me out. The way they did it. They do theater like, well, maybe other people now have copied them, but I saw the Red Shoes and I was totally blown away.
Is that online, you think?
Is it what?
On the internet? The Red
No,
Shoes? Oh, it's too bad.
No, theirs is live. I don't think they have anything filmed. But you might go there and see what you can find. And then I saw the play, and that's very prescient with what being here, Camille's experience losing her hand. They did a play called 946, Adolphus and the Amazing Cat. I saw that play in New York. Actually, I didn't see the Red Shoes in New York, but I did see 946 in New York. And that's about the Second World War.
Okay.
In fact, it's about the Normandy invasion, or the lead up to the Normandy invasion. And you can read about that. I won't go on about that.
So I will ask my final question would be, what was it like playing and recording music in that studio?
It scared me at first. I set everything up, and I set my recording instruments the way I always do. And I started to play, and it was such fidelity. I literally had to go back in the corner, which you saw me do today, and play into the corner to get it so that the sound is so good, you have to be aware of it. It's not something you just like any other place. I've maybe been and heard some place with that kind of fidelity. I have never played in a place with that kind of fidelity before. Wow. I have never, and I've been playing music since I was 3. Okay. 4, I guess. Well, harmonica, 4. I've been playing a harmonica for 75 years.
Wow, yeah. Nice and portable, Yeah.
Well, it's also, to tie this back into our conversation about Makwa, one of the things that affords is that ability to move between the intervals, to move between the diatonic intervals. You can do it on a horn, you can do it on a fretless instrument, but nothing does it like the chromatic harmonica. You listen to it, watch how it slides. Watch how it slides. It's slippery. It's slippery. It's not ding ding. And it's the tones between the tones. You'll hear things that you just,
So a violin too, maybe, or a string instrument.
Well,
you
yes,
could do that.
That's right.
Glissando.
And you can play to, and one can play to that.
Yeah.
One can do that. Bring that out. Yeah, you're fortunate because a violinist is primed for Maka music.
Oh, that could be cool.
There are 84 tones in the scales.
Huh.
There are no bars. There are no time bars. The time is set by whoever is leading and playing. It's not to beat. It's not beat-driven music.
Wow. It's almost like you have to have a different brain for that.
What?
You almost have to have a different brain for that.
Yes, you do.
Oh.
Yes, you do.
Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that. But anyway, so just real quick back to the so the room. So as a music resident, would you recommend people use this as a place to perform or record?
Well, of course.
Okay.
Well, of course, yes. I mean, it'll bring things out in you. You'll find places in yourself you didn't know you had. Ooh. I did that in there. I found some things that I hadn't experienced before.
Oh, wow.
I have to be on the very brink of my 8th decade and to be feeling myself transformed. This is a transformative experience. This is a transformative experience. I suppose, like anything else, one has to be primed for it.
Yeah.
One has to be ready to receive in order to receive. And I am particularly of that disposition now, you know. I'm thinking about my end, you know, not maudlin, not maudlin thinking about my end, but I'm damn well thinking about it.
Yep, same up there. Yep.
So then to come into this, almost a crowning kind of experience, to come into the hippie nation, to revisit the hippie nation on the very brink of my 8th decade.
Yeah.
That's profound to me.
It's like a script. And so if I keep bringing it back to the room, but like I said, we want to develop that. Is there any advice you would give a musician how to best work in that space?
Listen.
Okay.
Listen. That's the number one advice to any musician.
Oh, sure.
Listen. But you get in there and you come in fresh. You're going to, unless you're a very unusual individual, you're going to come into an experience, into experiencing your music in a way you haven't experienced it before. So listen and respond to it. You know, I'm a jazz player, and what you do when you're a jazz player is you listen, and you dialogue. You talk to each other with your instrument. Well, I was talking to myself on those, but you could hear the dialogue. You can hear dialogue in that music. You can hear narrative.
Like 8 or 9 different ones. Yeah, for sure.
So the advice is always the same. Listen. But, you know, when you come into that room, be prepared to hear yourself fresh. Because it's different. I mean, if you really listen. I mean, you know, one can play music and not listen. One can just do chord progressions and on and still be good, you know, and you can get proficient in the patterns. But that's fresh. That's experiencing yourself all over again. If you're really, I'm very involved with my instrument. Very. It's a very intimate thing to me. A horn is a kiss. This is alive to me. You see, this is alive to me. When I pick it up and blow my breath into it, when my breath is in there, then that is alive.
That's good. Do you have any final thoughts on anything?
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shawnee.